welcome back to the podcast, nerds. I am Larry Brantley, and I'm sitting here as always with my two besties, Micah Donahoe.
Greetings, programs.
And Brent Williams.
How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not too bad.
Not so bad.
Not so bad.
Thanks, Letterkenny. We are the Nerdherfers. We are three middle-aged guys who enjoy cigars and whiskey and all the nerdy shit we loved when we were kids, and we love to experience all of those things, thusly a podcast. And that is the first and last time I will ever use the word thusly in a complete sentence. Here's how the show works if you guys have never seen it. Every week, one of us brings some cigars for us to review. One of us brings a bottle of whiskey to pass around and also review. And one of us brings the topic of conversation that we are going to nerd into the ground. But before we get into any of that, it is time for another edition of... Nerd News. It is last week's news today. And as always, we are joined in the studio by our anchor person, Brent Williams. Brent, what have you brought for us this week?
Well, I got a couple movie things and then a couple just what the heck things.
All right.
I love both
Let's
of
do
those.
it.
So, Takashi Yamazaki. You know that name?
I do.
Did you see Godzilla -1? Mm-mm. Oh, Micah. Please.
You can excuse yourself right now, sir.
I guess.
Matter of fact, cut. Let's stop. We're going to watch it.
Kaiju has never really been my
hours later
thing. I go back and I catch things that I did. A lot of the more recent Godzilla things that have come out, King Kong stuff, I've seen all that
stuff's
stuff.
ridiculous.
That is.
That's
Minus
all
one
ridiculous.
is
Yeah.
the bomb,
That
dude.
New Kingdom or whatever it's called
Yeah.
was the most ridiculous movie I've ever seen in my life.
The last one I saw was the one where Godzilla and King Kong were working together.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
exactly what. Yeah,
Yeah.
But this is Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
And
he's working on another one.
yes, is it going to be like -2 or what's the working
That's a
title
big
of
word,
that?
putting him as jokes -2. It hasn't been determined if it's going to be a sequel or a standalone, but he's doing another one.
That is
So,
fantastic.
matter of fact, they
because-
re-released a -1 in theaters to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the original movie.
yeah,
Right.
and seriously, you do
You've
not have
got
to be
see
into
it.
kaiju.
Even if you don't like kaiju,
Godzilla,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's actually a good people story that just happens to have Godzilla in it.
Yeah,
All right.
it's done. They did it
Ah,
right.
it
It was good.
Highly
All
recommend.
right, gentlemen, get out your wallets.
Oh crap! I left mine in the car.
Yeah, well,
Here we go.
Warner Brothers
Show off.
is selling 10 limited edition Batman tumblers, the real ones from the movies, for $3 million each.
Oh, yeah.
You got that in your wallet, dude.
I do.
He
Because
bought an island last
That's
week.
how I roll.
Yeah, it's gonna have fake machine guns and simulated jet turbines, but they're only making 10. So now you have
Boy.
something to spend your savings on.
How much is it when you want the actual hardware, like the actual machine guns and
Yeah,
stuff?
I don't
Do they-
think you
Is
can
this
do
Is that an add-on
Is
thing?
this something we could find in the Sharper Image catalog?
Yeah, right. Or at Spencer's.
I remember. Do you guys remember Sky Mall?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I
not a thing anymore?
loved. Yeah, I don't think they make it anymore.
Are you
but
sure? Are you
but I
sure?
remember like you could buy a submarine in the Sky Mall
Yeah.
catalog, an actual submarine
Well, you can buy backhoes and stuff on Temu now. So
I don't know if I trust
for all the
Temu,
bodies
by
you
the
need
way.
to bury.
yeah, right. Okay, so here's the what the heck is wrong with people?
Oh,
news,
let's go.
Right?
All right.
In 2010, there was a whiskey company started called Family Whiskey, started by James Gilpin, who's a British researcher. He discovered that the urine of diabetics is sugar rich. So he decided he was going to make whiskey out of it.
No.
It's a thing. It's real.
Not in my cabinet.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
And this,
so
the
awful.
funny thing is I went and I was looking at the website and stuff, and when they bottle it, they put the person's name and age on it that contributed to it.
Oh, God.
It still looks like pee.
I have no comment for this.
I have a lot of comments, but they would get us kicked off of like most of our platforms.
Wait, hold
so-
on. Hold on. I got...
All right, this one's funny. This one's much better. Fireball whiskey.
Yeah,
Okay.
my youngest son's favorite brand.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that we drink that because
I say young. He's of legal
Yeah,
age,
we-
but like, he's not like
I'm judging,
3.
judging a little.
we respect ourselves too much to drink that. They are going to make a whiskey called Cryerball. This is real. They're going to post people up outside of sports games to collect the tears of fans whose teams have lost. Not a joke. So as a fan of the opposing team, you can literally drink the tears.
Oh. Now there is something very Viking in that appeals to me.
They should all just like cut and drip.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'd be way more Viking.
Now, I saw an image. I saw the crier ball image, but I didn't deep dive into it to find out exactly what it was.
Crier ball.
And I was like, it's probably the tears of their enemies kind of joke. And
as it turns out,
it's actually
it's
going
literally
to be
An actual thing. Yeah.
Wow.
How'd you like to be on the collection team, standing outside, trying to get people's tears?
Well, it depends. Have you ever been to like some of the Renaissance festivals in Texas where they had this guy named Christoph the Insulter? If they brought him around to insult people on a regular basis, they could make people cry on the spot and just increase their production by like at least 59%.
Well, there you go.
Should give him a call.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing these days.
I got nothing.
That's all I have. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, people standing outside collecting tears.
Wow.
That's it.
Oh, that's it for this week?
That's it.
Oh, well, thank you for this exhilarating edition of Nerd News. You heard it here dead last. And man, don't give your tears up for free. That's all I'm saying. Don't give your tears up for free. All right, boys. Hey, I forgot to do this at the top of the show, but just in case, if you are not currently a member of the Nerdherfer Nation, it is so easy to become one. All you have to do is go out to nerdherfers.com, hit that subscribe button. You're going to be the first to know whenever a new episode drops. You can also leave comments there. We got some great ones this week, by the way.
Yeah.
You can go out and hit us on our Instagram page at Nerdherfers. We're also on Facebook for those over 50 people who don't know how the rest of social media works.
You mean our demographic?
Yes. Actually, yes. So yeah, do that. Go out. Facebook's no longer relevant, but damn it, we're trying so hard. Anyway, we've also got a merch shop. We've got a cigar shop. So all the cigars that we review on the show, you can go through our website, Two Cigars International, whom we have partnered with, and you can get those and try them out for your very own self. Okay, with that said, let's get this rig rolling, as they say in Canada, which is up north there, or Canada, or as we like to call it, America's hat. Anyway, whose turn was it to bring cigars this week?
Me.
Okay,
me.
Let's go, buddy.
I have a cigar that I'm excited.
You better
to try.
have 3. Yeah,
We get the cutter out, just like cut it into 3 pieces.
Brent's gonna have a cigar, and Mike and I are gonna sit there and go,
a different
wow.
third, and that way you've got first third. You've got second third.
That's when we start
I would rather have my tears collected.
That's when we start getting to the budget version of the show. Is when we only bring one cigar and cut it into 3 pieces, and we eat. Okay, ready? Okay, we're done.
It tastes like dirt.
All right. Well, tonight,
Because it's a swisher.
we're going to enjoy the Espinosa cigars. Well, 601 Cigars is the brand, but it's Espinosa. The 601 Blue Maduro.
Ooh.
Okay.
This is a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Oh, yes.
And then Nicaragua binder and fillers.
Nicaragua binder.
Nicaragua baba.
Nicaragua.
Did you pregame? I'm
just a little. But where was I? Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Mawage is what brings us
together here today. Yeah. So anyway, it's Maduro, medium to full body,
Okay.
93 on Cigar Aficionado.
Nice.
So I'm excited to try it. So here you go.
They don't just give those out.
No, they don't.
Although I'm giving this
they
out
give
now.
So this is a box press Toro.
Oh, I can feel it.
Like box press.
6
I
and a
can
quarter.
feel it. Out of the cello. Be gone with you.
Be gone, Cello.
Oh, man. You get that Connecticut broadleaf. Oh, it's so good.
Oh wow.
Terrible.
I mean, you can smell the oil.
Yes, you can.
I destroyed my label. Son of a
I
biscuit eater.
destroyed my label because I'm so
I
impatient.
should cut before I light. That would probably help.
You know what?
Well,
I'm just saying.
I got plans for these, so I don't like to rip them.
Yeah.
Too late.
So if anybody ends up with an intact one, I'd appreciate it because I just mangled mine. Damn it.
But what am I going to put in my?
That cold draw is all Connecticut broadleaf, man. It's that rich earthiness. It's the oil. Oh, it's so good. I am going to light it, though.
Yeah.
And here I go.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Espresso.
Oh, yes. I have a feeling that the espresso is going to be even more pronounced once you toast that sucker.
Let's see if you're right.
All right.
I don't know if you know what you're talking about.
Getting black currant on the cold draw.
I'm very good at the bullshit, as they say. Made an entire career out of it, actually.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Well, that lit easy.
It did. That's what I love about a easy box press, man. Is that the draw is generally so nice and simple.
Oh.
Right.
Yep.
Right. All the happy buttons being pushed right now.
Someone just ground espresso coffee beans. Oh, that's so good.
That is delicious. Okay. Well, it was my turn to bring the bottle this week, and I have get the story counter ready.
He's got notes.
A little story to tell.
No, this one's relevant, so it doesn't count. The story counter is only for
irrelevant
mildly,
stories?
like loosely tied stories.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I apologize then. This is a
mildly
relevant
taking
story.
offense to that.
All right. So tonight's whiskey comes from a distillery that was established in 1856 by J.A. Miller in Paris, Kentucky, not France. Later in the 20th century, it was moved to Bardstown, which most people know as bourbon mecca these days. This bourbon has been aged for a minimum of 4 years. Here's the mash bill: 70% corn, which means it's probably going to be a little on the sweet side, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. This comes from the symbol on this bottle is a rooster. Roosters are the symbols of defiance and pride. And in the 19th century, roosters went by a different name, and it is the name of tonight's whiskey. I give you the chicken cock.
Yes.
And yes, the very first time I bought this bottle, it was strictly for the name. I knew nothing about it. Didn't know if it was any good. It seemed to be at the right price point, but it said chicken cock on it. And if you can't, probably you can't get it on this, but the bottle is created so that it's chicken wire. Let's do the magic sound.
Yes.
Oh, that was a pretty one.
It was
It
a pretty one,
was.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Micah, may I have your glass, please?
I would give that a 9.5.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You're clearly not the East German judge.
Yeah. I think we need to start rating those.
There you are, sir. That's also a lovely sound.
Yes, it is.
Let's get you topped off, my friend. Now, I deliberately did not look at the manufacturer's tasting notes on this because I want us to make up our own damn minds.
Ooh.
With the mash bill, I just assume it's going to be sweet.
What's the proof on this?
This is actually a 90 proof.
Okay.
I'm getting
So
vanilla
say
and honey on the
ethanol
nose.
is very light.
Yeah. Vanilla and honey on the
Well,
nose.
so one of the things I did read about this is that these guys set out once the brand came back around again, they set out that they wanted to prove that they could make a higher proof whiskey that didn't burn the hair out of your nose.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
still,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of burn, but I'm definitely getting the
Very
honey.
little. Very little.
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
little
I'm getting
burn.
this warm, but
You get
Yeah.
like creme brulee.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the honey.
Now, see, I wouldn't call that a burn so much as a nice warmth.
Yeah.
That's a day sipper too. This is one that you could destroy a bottle in a day and
Yeah.
you wouldn't even realize.
Yeah, and not saying that I've done that quite recently, but maybe I have.
I'm not
We don't
saying
know.
it's aliens.
Anyway, we have got this delicious dark cigar from 601 that I think right now, for me at least, is pairing very nicely with the chicken cock. And the only thing we're left with is we got to have something to talk about, Micah.
Yeah,
what
we
do we
should talk
got? What are
about
we going to talk about?
Well, we're going to talk about horror movies.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I don't know. I'm a little afraid of that topic.
So this is one of the things I'd actually considered holding off on that until on this particular subject until we got maybe into closer to next Halloween. But you know what? It's just too much fun with all
Well,
all the Halloween. I'm sorry, not Halloween, but horror movie watching I've done in
well,
the past
today
month.
we're actually recording this on Election Day, so maybe this is a very
So this is a
appropriate-
perfect time to talk
Yeah.
about
Could be
horror movies.
Horror movie.
And then also, it is still right now, as we sit here and blithely record this, it is the best-selling genre of film.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons, and I'm speaking as someone who's worked in the industry for a while. They're the least expensive to make. They are definitely appealing to younger generations and who have the disposable income. and they sell like hotcakes. I mean, this is why Lionsgate is still around and A24 is still around.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're
Blumhouse
pumping
is doing
these
right
things.
now?
Yeah, Blumhouse.
Yeah.
They're pumping these things out. So I think it's always a good time to talk about horror movies.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and kick this off and just talk about what was like the very first horror movie you ever remember watching.
Wait, you don't want some nerdy facts about horror movies?
Well, let's get into that as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the question. Do you remember like the first horror movie you ever saw?
Yes.
What was it?
Okay, well, I was 5 years old.
Wait, what?
Yeah, way too young to be seeing these horror movies. Well, my parents dropped me off at a movie theater when I was 6 and 7.
Is this what happened?
Yeah. No. They actually took me to this one.
Wait.
It was a drive-in.
Damage, you're right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a triple feature. So it started off with Ultraman. I was waiting until he was drinking to see if he could do it.
Dick.
Well done, you. Well done, you.
Ultraman.
Ultraman, and then there was this movie called Shockwaves, and I don't remember a lot about that one. I remember like these bald people with goggles coming out of the ocean near the beach, and they were like zombies or something. I don't know.
Was that the movie?
No.
Okay.
Then the next movie was called, and I've actually talked about it before. It was called It's Alive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. About the little demon baby with the coconut
I
head that went
remember
around
the
and-
marquee poster for that one. It
Yeah.
was like the old
Yeah.
like pram
Yeah.
with the clawed hand
Yep.
coming out.
Yep.
That was creepy.
And I was
Yeah.
5. Yes, I
Wow.
had nightmares.
Oh, man.
Yes, it
So
sticks with me
therapy
to this day.
started early
Yep.
for you.
Mhm. Yep.
It's Alive. Okay, Micah, what was your first one you ever saw?
So when I was growing up, I actually stuck to a lot of really things that we've discussed before. A lot of John Hughes films and your traditional 80s movies that I love so much, Karate Kid, Back to the Future, and stuff. But when we moved back to Dallas, there was a neighbor that I had downstairs that had a just
Was this the pot dealer or the porn guy?
the pot dealer.
Okay.
Micah grew up in what we would call a transitional neighborhood.
It's not true, actually. The neighborhood was kind of nice. I just happened to have a weed dealer below me. But anyway, so and seriously, it's like he would be conducting deals in front of me and everything. By the way, for context, I'm 11 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
Not now.
Yeah.
He was 11 years old then.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, if it weren't for that beard, how would we know? How would we
I know.
I don't know. It's been a hard 11 years, I guess.
Oh, F you both. Anyway, so anyway, my neighbor, I would sit down there and he'd be watching different things and I wasn't really paying attention sometimes. But then he's like, "Hey, you want a really good movie?" And I'm like, sure. And he goes, "Watch this." And it was a dubbed VHS, and on it said Aliens.
Oh, as in James Cameron Aliens.
Yes.
Oh,
So I had never seen the first one.
I actually watched that yesterday.
Really?
I was just flipping
it
around,
holds up.
and I was like, "Aliens, yes!"
It holds
Oh,
up.
and I love
It's
it now
such a
these
good
days.
film.
But
Yeah.
that was probably the first thriller horror movie I'd ever seen, and there were so many factors to it that made it scary for me at 11. There was a lot of blood, obviously, a lot of death, a lot of aliens, a lot of suspense. You know,
There's a lot of tension in that
the
movie.
sound of that tracker.
Oh, yeah.
that would
Yeah,
make,
yeah, yeah.
And you knew that something was coming after him, and it would get faster and faster and faster. It just freaked me right out
Nice. Very
in
nice.
the best ways.
So I think the first horror film that I can remember seeing at the theater, and I may have seen some, on cable television before this, but the first one I can remember like paying money to go see, how we got in is still a mystery to me. But I grew up in a very small town in Texas where it was like, we've got your money, just go. Just go.
Yeah.
Whatever else happens.
Most
happens.
theaters were like that back then.
Yeah.
Because it was some pimply faced dude taking the ticket. He didn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, and if you could frequently get held up at your mall, then who's to stop
Fair
them from
enough.
watching horror movies?
It was Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th.
Wow.
Yeah, the classic. This is what happens at every summer camp when the counselors decide to have sex.
Sex and
movie.
death.
A very young Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, who died in the most grisly way.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Like they were all grisly, but that one in particular.
I could not sleep on my back for a long time. After that.
That's how I felt about Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
So Friday so there's a very popular term related to horror movies that my daughter, who's 21, knows, called The Jump Scare. Back then, it wasn't called The Jump Scare, but Friday the 13th was the first jump scare I ever had. And I got through the entire movie with no, like, I would be like, oh, that's scary. Ooh, I'm gripping the jump scare happened at the very, very, very end of the film where you think that everything is done. The prime suspect is dead, and then she's out floating in the water. She's out there on Crystal Lake, and frickin' young Jason Voorhees comes up out of the water and pulls her under.
Yeah.
And that literally terrified me. It's also why I did not go into a natural body of water for a very long time.
That was the end of the movie, though, right?
It was the very end.
Yeah.
It was the last scene.
Yeah, because as Scream would teach us, when they were quizzing on who was the actual murderer in there, it was Mrs. Voorhees.
Well, of course it was Mrs. Voorhees. Yeah, absolutely. But that was it again, and she got taken care of. And I thought, okay, all right, okay, the cops are going to find her and everything's going to be okay. And yeah, not cool, man, not cool.
Well, let's hear about some of these facts that you were talking about. Now I'm interested.
All right, well, the first horror movie was made by a man, or what's considered the first horror movie, was 3 minutes long, made by a very famous French cinematographer.
But he was also very French.
Please don't say Forbidden Planet.
No, Georges Méliès.
Okay.
You know him. You've seen his work. Trip to the Moon. You've seen that old movie where that rocket goes into the moon's eye.
Yeah, the very first movie ever.
That's the same guy. So anyway, he made one called
Was that 1901?
No, because this movie was 1896.
First horror movie. My guess was going to be Nosferatu, like the original Nosferatu.
That's 1920, I think, is when that one came
Which
out.
is way later.
Yeah. No, it was 3 minutes long. So I got some notes here. It had cauldrons, animated skeletons, ghosts, transforming bats, and ultimately an incarnation of the devil. It was called The Devil's Castle.
Oh.
And although it wasn't like technically a horror movie, because it was more like his movies were like kind of, wondrous and spectacular.
Because French.
He was French. But anyway, it's considered, many cinephiles consider it the first actual horror movie.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. So the golden age of horror is considered the decades of the 20s and the 30s.
Really?
Yes.
Is this the Boris Karloff? No, wait.
Well, kind of. We got movies like The Cabinet of Dr. Callaghan, 1920. It's a silent movie, right?
Nosferatu. For the talkies.
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Yeah,
1922.
That's the one I can remember.
Yeah.
What year was that?
1922.
Okay.
Yeah,
Frankenstein, 1931.
Okay.
Boris Karloff's Frankenstein.
Yes.
Okay.
The Mummy was 1932.
All right.
And then the first color adaptation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was 1931.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Boris Karloff, that's somebody that I'd always wanted to meet. I mean, obviously.
Well, and Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dracula.
And
Bela Lugosi's dead.
What's the guy's name that did the Wolfman?
Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney.
Yeah, Lon Chaney. Yeah.
Can you imagine those guys sitting in a bar? First of all, you wouldn't even recognize them.
Yeah, they look at each other and go, man, we are going to be working forever.
Forever. Universal's going to get a hold of us.
I don't know about you, but they just keep casting me as a different monster. It's so awesome.
It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. And then Vincent Price walks in.
Damn it.
Oh, man, we're all out of work.
Martinis for everybody. So throughout the year, so there's the 1950s that come along, and a lot of the 1950s were actually like alien type movies.
Oh, like The Blob.
Yeah, like
War of the Worlds.
Wasn't Steve McQueen in The Blob? I think he was.
Was he?
I think he was. I'm going to fact check that right quick while you guys are chatting.
What was the one, the day the Earth stood still?
Yeah.
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 The original. Yes.
Klaatu.
Klaatu.
Nikto. Oh, what's the third one? Because
Klaatu,
those are
Vericta.
because those are characters.
Army of Dead fans.
Those are
wait, Army of Darkness fans.
Those are characters in Return of the Jedi. Those
yes,
guards.
Steve McQueen's first leading role, 1958, The Blob.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who knew?
Klaatu, Vericta, Nikto.
Yeah. And then into the 60s, of course, and then of course still going with aliens and that kind of stuff. For a long time it was aliens. Everything was aliens. I'm not saying it's aliens.
But it is.
But then you get to the 80s, okay? And the 80s is a classic decade for horror movies because we were introduced to a little genre called the slasher movie.
Oh, yeah.
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 And so it was all about how many teenagers could this one crazy person kill in the movie.
Yeah, 80s seemed to be like it was body count, right? It's like we're gonna vaguely have a plot and a little bit of character development, but mostly it's about body count.
I think those movies were competing to see who could kill a kid in the most inventive way.
No doubt
for sure.
Yeah,
and I imagine that you guys actually saw these in the theater when they first came out.
Yes, we did.
So
we
I
weren't
had
legally supposed to be there, but we absolutely did.
I had to catch up. So it was
enough.
late 80s, early 90s when I started just jam-packing all those horror movies.
Well, let me ask you a question then, because, and this is without making fun of the fact that you're younger than us at all, but it is a fact that Micah is a bit younger than us. A bit. I said a bit. I didn't say
years.
like a generation younger than us. You're a bit
years.
younger than us. Because there definitely was, like the thing you just said, like we saw him in the theater, you had to catch up, right? What were the movies that you saw in the theater or not that disturbed you the most? Like, was it a particular genre? Like, was it slasher? Was it
So if we're
it when they were more gory or when they were more suspenseful?
Yeah.
Like, what was the genre that affected you the most?
I've got answers for this in a couple different. So the slashers, I gotta admit this, the slashers never freaked me out. I was always a fan of the bad guy. I wanted to see how he was going to tear somebody apart.
He was just misunderstood.
I mean, come on. It was Nightmare on Elm
You were
Street.
just misunderstood.
Yeah. No,
you were wearing your I Heart Freddy Krueger t-shirt.
That is a load of crap. I was actually on there. I was like, shred them, dice them, slice them. No, it was. Your question was whether they were like.
What were the ones that disturbed you the most?
Disturbed me. So to disturb me,
because ideally that's what a horror film is supposed to do.
The things that disturbed me the most were psychological thrillers, things that were plausible. So slashers never did, but
examples.
The Shining. The Shining is one of my all-time favorite ones, and I couldn't watch it for years because the first time that I saw it, I mean, we had a guy going nuts on screen, and he got increasingly worse as the film went on, and that really, really messed me up. But when I became an adult, I was like, oh my God, I really like this.
Yeah. Because you could also, as an adult, go, yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's anything that I could feel was that. Yeah,
give me the bat, Wendy. So psychological thrillers. That's interesting.
Psychological.
For me, I think it's the original, what many consider the original slasher movie. I was 8 years old when I saw this. My uncle took me to see it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh man,
that is messed up.
Directed.
Your uncle is messed.
Directed by Tobe Hooper.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That was his first feature-esque film.
And wasn't that filmed out in Denton?
Somewhere in Texas.
It was filmed, I think it was filmed in West Texas. I'm not for sure on that, but I remember
I might be thinking Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is decidedly not horror.
It was a shoestring budget. They cast a bunch of unknowns. At the time, I think Hooper was still a film student at University of Texas at Austin.
Okay. All right.
When he did that film. And it was very, very loosely based on the serial killer Ed Gein.
Yeah.
I'm with you because the reason that movie disturbed me was because it was that whole backwoods, you ain't from around here, are you? Kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know the name Tobe Hooper, but I'll bet you know a 1980s horror film called Poltergeist.
Oh, that was so great.
And he also wrote and directed that film.
That is so fantastic. I loved Poltergeist so much that freaked me right out, but for some reason I was on board. I was like, ghosts.
Oh, little girls getting kidnapped into TV sets.
Well, that was the era where you had films like Jaws, where it was all about the anticipation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was a very, and Steven Spielberg has said this many times, the reason that they shot Jaws the way they did is because they could not get that damn mechanical shark to work. And so they were already over budget, and he's beating his head against the wall trying to figure out how this is going to work. Yep. And then he was watching some old Hitchcock movie. It might have been North by Northwest or whatever. But what he realized, what made Hitchcock films so frightening was that Hitchcock implied the violence and let the viewer fill in the blanks.
Oh, yeah.
And he realized, and Hitchcock said this, he said, the audience's imagination is going to be 10 out of 10 times far worse than anything I could put up on the screen.
Rear Window, baby.
Yeah, so it was the implication, and then the viewer fills in the rest, and that's what Spielberg ultimately did with Jaws, which made it a genuinely terrifying film.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that was crazy wonderful. So, favorite genre? I mean, there's so many different genres of horror films. I mean, do you have like a favorite genre? Like mine as from an entertainment value and Carnage Candy has always been slasher. You know, I'm rooting for the bad guy. I want to see him.
I like bad slasher movies.
Yes.
Well, what do you consider bad slasher movies?
Oh, I have a list.
I kind of consider them
start.
all bad slasher movies.
Yes. Well, Leprechaun was a bad one.
All right, wait.
I couldn't take that guy seriously.
Before we get too far into this, because this is a topic I think we're going to dive deep into, can we talk about the first third of the cigar?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, boys, I'm enjoying this immensely. I don't know how you guys are feeling it so far.
It's pairing with the whiskey so well.
It really is.
That coffee, that espresso that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm getting like a little touch of black currant on the back end of that taste. It's so nice.
I'm getting coffee with cream now.
It has gotten just a little creamy. What I love about this Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, though, is it is so dark and oily that there's this really nice balance going on with that kind of sweet whiskey. Yeah. Not overly sweet, sweet enough, paired with this cigar. So this is a good... Oh, pardon me. This is a good pairing.
I got to actually comment.
Good pairing.
Got a good comment on that. I mean, so for a 70%, and anytime I see a whiskey jump into the 70s... on their corn, I'm expecting sweet, and I'm expecting a headache tomorrow. It's just, but this, I mean, while it does have a touch of sweet, it's not overbearing.
No, it's really not. And I wonder if part of the reason is because it is a high proof whiskey.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know enough of the science to be able to answer that question. I just know that I'm enjoying this pairing really well.
You know what's funny is on the retrohell on this right now, no pepper, but I'm getting like a creamy vanilla.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, no pepper for me on this one at all.
Yeah, no pepper, which is very
unusual. And this is an all Nicaraguan?
All Nicaraguan.
Wow, that's unusual.
Usually with those Nicaraguans, you get heavy pepper, right?
Mm-hmm.
You often can. A lot of that depends on how long the raw tobacco is aged.
Yeah.
But this is...
also, the leather. I'm getting some leather.
Are you getting a little bit of leather?
Yeah.
I'm not really picking up a lot of leather. Like, usually I'm feeling like tack room or saddle leather or, oh my gosh, complete side note. My wife... went overboard for my birthday. I got my first pair of Tecovas boots.
Oh, what?
Wow.
And I kind of ruined the surprise because I came home, I think it was last week when we finished recording. I came home and my entire living room smelled like boot leather.
And you're like,
and I noticed there was some rat presents in the corner, and I was like, maybe.
Okay, I'm either getting boots or a really fun time in the bedroom tonight.
Yeah, it was little column A, little column B. But weirdly, I'm not. Are you guys are both getting a leather note on this?
It's like right at the end.
I'm not right now.
It's at the very end.
So it's like right when I'm getting that taste at the very front. It's all that coffee, that espresso you're talking about, and then right on my exhale is leather. Dried fruit, specifically that black currant.
I'm definitely getting some sort of dried fruit. I'm not picking up the leather yet.
See, I'm not getting any fruit.
But also, to each his own. Yeah. Okay, so we were talking about genre.
Yeah.
And where were we on that, by the way?
Because I mentioned that I like slashers.
You like the slashers. Yeah. Oh, and then Brent said I like bad slasher movies. Micah said they're all bad, but Leprechaun, okay, what other ones like do you hit? I have a list here that I imagine Brent and I have probably run through all of these at some point.
There was one I don't remember what it was called.
Can you tell me a little bit about the movie?
Puppet Master?
I remember Puppet Master.
I remember Puppet Master.
Where the dolls kind of go crazy or they're possessed dolls and they kill people?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah. That's a bad one. So I have a few bad ones. Do you guys remember a movie called Scanners?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
With Michael Ironside, great character.
Oh my
actor.
God, it was fantastic.
Yeah. But it was like literally so bad.
His face on the poster.
I have an even better one, and honestly, okay, so I am going to go to my favorite camp director of all time, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Is great. Now, John Carpenter gave me my absolute favorite horror movie of all time, which is Halloween 2.
Yep.
Very nice.
The reason that I loved Halloween 2 is for many, many reasons, up to and including Jamie Lee Curtis. but it was the first sequel I'd ever seen that took place immediately after the original.
Oh, yeah.
And the story is continuing, and all the characters are still there, and it's getting even more gruesome and bad. That was my favorite John Carpenter horror movie. But he also did They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper, and it's an alien invasion one, and that was really bad. But then maybe The Thing also.
Yeah.
And now I have mixed feelings about The Thing because I love Kurt Russell. But some of it was, it's John Carpenter, so there's always a bit of camp involved. But I am now going to name what I think, boys, is the worst horror movie of all time. It's not a slasher per se, but it is a story that revolves
Pee-wee's
around
Big Adventure.
It is a story that revolves around a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. And it was a movie called Reanimator.
Yep.
You remember?
Yep.
It was.
I do.
Have you ever seen this film?
I haven't seen that one.
Highly
it's
recommend that you watch it
awesome.
because you will laugh your
What's
ass off.
What's the guy's name that plays the scientist?
I can't remember. I'm going to look that up.
Because he does such a great job. He overacts that part so
every
much.
every scene.
It is so
he
great.
He steals every scene because he overacts every scene.
Yeah.
But basically, it's sort of a. So it is based on an H.P. Lovecraft short story, and he's sort of a Dr. Frankenstein type archetype who figures out a way to inject a chemical into dead bodies to reanimate
And it's
them.
like a neon, like glows in the dark.
Yes,
green chemical.
absolutely.
Because
Like Bane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see.
And also, he does all of this in his basement.
Yes. Yes. Let's see.
But he did
was,
such a great job. I mean, that is a great bad movie.
Oh, yeah.
It is a great bad movie. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah,
so it's,
bad for me though. While you're going through that, is definitely. So I've been catching up on a lot of the little ones that I hadn't seen before, and I'm starting to find that a lot of the ones that people love the most were the ones that were the most gross for me, and so like for instance with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I wasn't so much scared when I was watching that one, but I was more grossed out.
Yeah.
and
I think
like I said, I like Carnage Candy.
there was a time where that's what the movies were doing. They just became gross out movies. They weren't necessarily horror movies.
Well, that's how I felt about
they were
like
just gross out movies.
Yeah, like The Fly.
So real quick, I'm going to tell you that the actor who played that character was named Jeffrey Combs.
Oh yeah,
and he was prominent through the 80s in the horror genre. He did not only did he do Reanimator, he did The Pit and the Pendulum. He did Castle Freak. He did Necronomicon.
Oh, okay.
He did Peter Jackson's The Frighteners. Do you remember that one? he actually had a cameo in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
House on Haunted Hill. But he was also the voice of Question on Justice League Unlimited. So he branched out a little bit. It was great. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now the gross stuff like we're talking about like when I was saying about The Fly.
Yeah.
The Fly.
Oh.
The Fly. I've heard so many people say that they enjoyed it, and all I was thinking of while I was watching it is that this is just getting increasingly more gross.
Yeah.
And I'm not scared. I'm just like
As he turns into the Fly, he's barfing on stuff,
Yeah.
and body parts are falling off.
Oh my gosh! But that was kind of fantastic. And he's like melting ankles off, and not only he wasn't just melting an ankle off of anybody. He was melting it off of that one actor that you always want to see bite it in every movie as a bad guy. And I can't remember his name, but he lost his hand, he lost his ankle, and I'm going, yeah, but wait a minute, I think he's playing a good guy in this.
Yeah.
So, interesting factoid. David Cronenberg directed The Fly. He also directed Scanners.
All right.
So he just sort of stayed in his lane.
Wow.
And eventually got a little more money for his crazy ass ideas and better actors because, you may have hated that movie, but you can't hate Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
No.
You mentioned before that Halloween 2 was your favorite movie of all time. So Halloween is my favorite franchise.
Okay.
And I have had multiple Michael Myers masks. I mean, to the point where my friends and my family have been calling me Micah Myers for years.
Yeah.
I mean, I have got
that works actually.
I've got some fun, I've got some film accurate overalls and masks to go with it. It is just fantastic. But I got to tell you one of the things that I really like about Michael Myers. All right, you take all the different
His persistence.
He had a can-do attitude.
He's not a quitter.
It's not that. He had a purpose. Now, when I think about slasher films, I think about like Freddy, and the parents burned him alive after doing all this stuff to people around the neighborhood, and justice, and he's just basically attacking people in dreams. Jason Voorhees, you're having sex on my beach and I don't really like it.
Yeah.
Michael Myers to me always had a purpose, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was so drawn to him. It's like he wanted his family dead, and the whole, whether you like all of the different ones or whatever multiverse version of Halloween you actually get into it all.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like you're talking about like 4, 5, and 6 with Laurie Strode's daughter, Jamie, and all that stuff. That was kind of a big thing for me, is that Michael was always coming back to take out the people.
To finish the job.
Yeah, he was going after his family, and if you just happened to be in his path, you were going to bite it. And I
Tough noogies.
loved the purpose and the determination.
I'm actually a little worried about how much Micah loves this.
So maybe don't make so many youth
Why'd
jokes.
you make me sit next to him? Why am I the one sitting next to Micah?
That's on purpose.
For this particular
Friends know me longer.
So within that, what you're saying, purpose and everything, I recently rewatched Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street. And as a kid, it terrified me.
The first one, right?
The first one, the original, the OG. As a kid, it terrified me. As an adult, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. Now, I will give Craven this. In terms of the horror movie genre, he did something unique. It was a slasher film, but he killed you in the dreams, right?
The imagination level of the deaths was not your typical, like,
Yeah.
am I just going to shove a machete through your back?
Because Freddy had clearly figured out how to operate in the dream world, and he was like, well, it's like a cartoon. I can do whatever I want. I can make up my own rules. Now,
That's why I liked him.
this is what would have made, as an adult, as a kid, I didn't think about this, but like if I were Quentin Tarantino and I was going to remake A Nightmare on Elm Street, I would change one single thing in the plot to make it a little more tragicomic. There's that whole scene in the original where the mother of the main character explains that she was basically part of the mob.
Yeah.
Because Freddy Krueger there was all this evidence against him that he was a child molester and all this stuff, and he wound up getting off scot-free because of a technicality, and so a group of parents banded together and basically burned him alive. Now, I think what it would have made that an even more interesting movie was if it had turned out that he was innocent of the charges against him.
They created their own villain.
They created their own monster.
Interesting.
I think that would have been like. I thought that for years. I would have been like, well, would have been way more interesting.
Yeah.
Because now you talk about purpose.
Yeah.
I'm getting it back to people who unjustly burned me alive in this ridiculous Christmas sweater. They couldn't have waited for me to change outfits. Yeah.
Now, that was fantastic, actually, because one of the things I always appreciated about Freddy is that he never went after the people that ganged up on him. He's like, you know what? I'm going to hit you where it hurts. I'm going after you kids.
I'm going to hit you kids.
I'm going after you kids.
Well,
By the way,
he was a child murderer.
well, he was a child murderer. Yeah, so he was just...
he was just following the theme.
He was just doing what he did, but now he's doing it in the dream world. Also, Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's original Nightmare, first feature film appearance by Johnny Depp.
That's right.
Captain Jack Sparrow meets a grisly end, spoiler alert, in that film.
Oh, there was another really cool thing that franchise did. Many years later, after they'd finished their Freddy, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. After they finished that, they went back and did that wonderful movie where the lady who played Nancy, whose name escapes me at the moment, Nancy was the protagonist in the first one. Mm-hmm. So it shows... Yep. They showed Nancy as an adult, and I can't remember her name, darn it. But the movie isn't about Nancy. It's about the actress who played Nancy, who has kids, and Freddy is coming after her in real life.
Oh, wow.
It was so cool.
What was it called?
I want to say New Nightmare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
I believe so.
And then...
Because he had to put his name in front of it.
to me, the funny thing was when they started crossing...
Kind of like Tyler Perry. I'm sorry.
Everything he makes is a nightmare.
It really is.
Boom. He'll be here all week, folks.
When they started crossing the villains and you have like Jason versus Freddy.
Freddy.
And then they get even more ridiculous. Like Later on, there was one where like it was Jason in space.
I know. Okay.
Was it called Jason X or something like that?
Yeah, I believe so.
I can't remember.
And it was one of
X.
those. They had their budget was $30.
Yeah,
they made that movie because it's literally black box rooms.
Yeah,
with
everybody was paid in crack cocaine.
That's right.
I saw the preview for that movie for the very first time in Lethal Weapon 2 in the theater. So I saw Lethal Weapon 2 in the theater. My mom called me off from school, and we went to go see it because Lethal Weapon has always been my mother and mine's favorite thing to watch together.
Yep.
And so we're sitting there, and we're about to watch it, and the previews are coming on, and they're showing the horror thing is all kind of building up, and it's like something out of the freaking Muppets. Jason in space. And so the whole theater is quiet, and I go, bah! I couldn't help it. It was wonderful.
Okay, Micah, you and I need to put our cigars down.
Because I'm smoking too fast?
I mean, look at us compared to Larry.
Well, don't get us a so freaking good, fracking good cigar.
Yeah. Larry needs to catch up.
Yeah, so hit that hard. Hit it.
Larry,
double pump.
Larry is like Paul Masson with wine. We will serve no cigar before it's time.
All right, well, so favorite horror movie of all time?
Ooh. Oh, that's a hard one.
Not for me.
I'll start.
Okay.
So when we first started discussing this, I had something else in mind. I felt like I was kind of on the spot, but I went back and I revisited some ones that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I was reminded that what I had mentioned a while ago was not true. My favorite horror movie...
So Micah lied.
I did. I'm a liar. My favorite horror movie of all time, Creepshow.
Really?
The first Creepshow.
The very first
Yeah,
Creepshow.
that was good. You know, I'm not going to agree with you necessarily because I've already claimed Halloween 2 because John Carpenter. But what I loved about that film was that it was like 3 horror stories in one.
Well, maybe even more. I'm trying to remember how many stories
I don't know how many
were in
vignettes there were.
But that's the thing, right? It was almost like you were getting more bang for your buck. I was getting, this is it, anthology.
Yeah.
When I get, it's like, and I'll admit this now, during Christmas time, it's Love Actually. There's so many different...
It's a good movie.
There's so many different stories going on at once that all tie together. And with Creepshow, I mean, it didn't really tie completely together, but...
It wasn't like heavy metal.
No. No, like, the Lochnar was not the focal point. It was just the horror stories that were put together. And my understanding is that Creepshow was put together from an old comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a comic.
Squirrel?
We're watching them all.
Every so often, Brent will randomly hear things that we don't hear.
All right, so Creepshow for me, Halloween 2 for you.
Halloween 2.
But you didn't give us your reasons for Halloween 2. Apart from the continuation thing.
Well, it was that, but then it was also Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, but she was so drugged up the whole time.
But you know
what? I can't run from a killer.
But she was this sweet girl, and I was pulling for, and I was like, damn. And then also, there is a death in Halloween 2 that Michal Myers only sort of vaguely had anything to do with. And there's a young ambulance driver in the movie who's clearly got a thing for Jamie Lee Curtis's character, and he's checking up on her, and it's late at the
Lance Guest.
Yes. Last
Guest.
Starfighter, right?
Yes.
Lance Guest.
Yes. Thank you. That was where Brent should have hit the nerd alert button, but we'll just put that in.
I'm a huge Lance
later.
Guest fan only because of Last Starfighter.
Is it?
There we go.
Lance Guest.
Better late
Every
than never.
nerd knows and loves Lance Guest. But he stumbles into a room where like the head nurse has been murdered, and there's blood all over the floor. And then he turns to run out, and he slips on the blood and bashes his head against the concrete floor. And then later, he has stumbled out to the car that Jamie Lee Curtis just happens to have crawled into. And he tries to start it, and then he dies on the horn, alerting Michal Myers to Jamie Lee Curtis's whereabouts.
We're over here.
Over here. But I'll say that I don't know. It just was one of those movies that like scared me. It legit scared me, right? So because there are those moments of tension where people are going in, and sometimes it wasn't Michael. Sometimes it was just, okay, it was this. And then all of a sudden, bam, he comes out. Also, like, murdering the security guard with the back end of a hammer, of a claw hammer. That was original.
That's Michal Myers for you, right? Because he is resourceful. He's like, he's going and he's finding various things to kill you with that are just happen to be there. Jason seemed to have like a whole arsenal of wonderful things. I'm like, where did you come across that? I mean, you're not a bushwhacker. Why do you have a machete? I mean, apart from the fact that it makes for an interesting death.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. But that's Halloween 2 for me. That's my favorite.
All right, cool. Brent,
man, I don't even know, to be honest with you.
I'll pick a favorite then.
One you could watch over and over again. Now, to be fair, it could be like one of those bad movies that we talked about.
To be fair,
it could be one of those bad movies you talked about. So you could be watching a horror movie just because you want a good laugh.
Well, if I do that, it's going to be something with oh crap, what's his name? Army of the Dead.
Oh, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
The Chin.
Yeah.
Owe me a Coke.
So Evil Dead? Evil Dead 2?
Evil Dead. Yeah.
Yes, Army of Darkness.
Sam Raimi, baby.
Yeah.
First you want to kill me, then you want to kiss me. Blow.
Yeah, I love those movies because they have the perfect amount of campy and scary.
Yeah. Original Evil Dead stuff was so much fun. The new stuff, I didn't like.
Well, look, there's a genre we haven't even talked about yet, boys. Zombies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, George Romero, Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
That's right. The original Night of the Living Dead.
I love it.
I mean, the idea that people could just get up out of the ground and start coming for your brains.
Yeah. Minimal makeup, good scare factor.
Yes, absolutely. And that, I think, of all of the horror genres, I mean, obviously slasher's been done to death because they're the cheapest to do, because physical effects are a lot less expensive than visual effects. So gore, blood, spatter, all that stuff on where it actually happens on set and it's not done by computer is actually much less expensive to do.
Yeah.
And that is consequently why the horror genre remains the most popular genre of movie to make.
Okay, I'll tell you a movie that I really, really like, and it's a more modern movie.
Okay.
If I'm going to say a favorite, this one's probably
Let's go.
Joss Whedon, Cabin in the Woods.
I just saw that like last month for the first time. Genius.
Isn't it?
Isn't it? Genius film.
Yeah. It is so good.
Okay, I have not seen that film, and I am confusing with M. Night Shyamalan's The Cabin.
Okay, so it starts off, and I'll try not to spoil too much because it's so worth it.
Yeah.
But it starts off where you've got a group of people. Chris Hemsworth is in it.
Yep.
Chris Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth
Yeah.
is in it, kind of young. Not too young,
Yeah.
But he comes in and he's like going to a cabin in the woods, and it's a perfect setup for a horror movie. A bunch of kids from college getting away to get high and hang out, have some sex, blah blah blah, and it turns. And I'm not going to spoil this for you. It turns into a mind-bending. I did not see any of this stuff coming.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. It is so good.
So good.
Bradley Whitford.
The
guy from
West Wing?
Yeah, Bradley, right?
Wow.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Really?
The other guys.
No, but he's from West Wing. I know that for sure.
And the other guys and all that.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods, man.
All
You've
right.
got to see this.
I'm gonna look it up tonight. I'll probably watch it when I get
It is
And
so good.
the
So good.
artwork for the movie poster does it complete justice.
Yeah.
It shows the cabin completely elevated above things, and that means something.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil
Was
it.
it like an MC Escher sort of thing?
No.
That marquee?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's so good. You got to watch it.
All right.
And another, I don't know if this would be considered a horror movie. One of my favorite Alan Tudyk movies, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I don't think I saw that one.
You ever seen it?
I've heard of it. I have not seen
You
it.
should see
and
it.
I did not know that Tudyk was in it,
Yeah.
or I probably would have seen it already
Yeah.
because
And
I
it's-
love him.
And it's Tudyk's.
Tudyk's.
It is.
Alan
It's
Tudyk.
Tudyk's.
Alan Tudyk's.
There's no S on the end of his name.
Yeah, there is.
Look it up right now.
I'm going to let you do that, Micah, because I just clearly stepped in the middle of something here, and I don't want any part of it. I want to go a little bit back to the zombie genre.
You're right. I'm wrong.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
You win. I admit when I'm wrong.
That is good of you, because most nerds do. Most nerds will freely admit, much like scientists, they'll say, I don't know, or I was incorrect.
Oh, I've got a friend that is so fantastic. When we talk about geek stuff in general, nerd stuff, whatever, he will like defend something until like you're gonna.
He just digs in.
He's gonna.
Even when he realizes he's wrong, he just digs in.
Yeah, somebody is going to hang his mother and cut off all of her limbs, and he will defend it until the moment, and then you look it up and you're like, here, and he's like, oh yeah, that's cool, I didn't know that.
Sorry, your mom's dead.
Sorry about your mom. Oh my god.
Gee, Ricky, I'm sorry you set your mom on fire.
Do we want to try this with water? Or I mean with ice?
I do not.
I mean, I
This
don't.
is so
actually.
good.
I'm enjoying it neat.
You guys go right ahead, but
Nope,
I'm gonna
I'm not doing it.
I'm gonna
I'm
knead this
going-
baby all night.
Yeah,
I'm
I
needing
like
it
it neat.
I'm
I don't
needing
think
it till we die.
All right. So,
Okay, wait, hang on.
Oh yeah.
I got one.
I got excited.
In the 80s,
Okay.
there was the quintessential vampire movie for me, and it was
John Carpenter.
Brooklyn and
Nope.
Vampire
That was the
in Brooklyn?
90s, first of all.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
Vampire in Brooklyn, wasn't it?
Nope.
Eddie Murphy.
Oh my god. You horrible, horrible man.
I had forgotten
think
all
that I would
about
even
that. Thank you,
name that
Michael.
movie.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It was
That was a bad-
The Lost
bad-
Boys.
Oh yeah.
Lost Boys.
Okay. Jamie Gertz.
You know what?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jamie Gertz.
Diane Wirtz. I mean,
okay. Here's
Corey Feldman and Corey Haim were both in that film. The Coreys.
Michael, I like Michael.
okay. Here's a totally unrelated story. Here's my counter going off. Ding ding. Jamie Gertz.
Yep.
The richest actor in Hollywood is Jamie Gertz. She's a billionaire. Do you know that?
That is true, but not
Yeah.
because of movies.
Not
That's
because
who
of
she
movies.
married,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, because
No,
of business.
because she was smart.
She's a smart business
Oh
person.
my
Yeah.
lord.
So no kidding, the last film I ever saw Jamie Gertz in that I can remember was the original Twister.
Oh,
I
I didn't
remember-
even know she was in that. I
you
thought of
remember-
Less Than Zero.
No, she was Bill Paxton's wife at the time.
Okay.
No way. That's right. You're right.
I am right.
She was also in a TV show called Square Pegs. Do you remember that?
I don't.
I remember it, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was like a Valley Girl ripoff type thing.
Oh,
Okay.
that's why I didn't
Was
watch
that
it.
before or after Twister? Do you
That was
know?
way before.
Okay.
She was way younger.
So yeah, so Twister is the last thing I remember seeing her in, and then she just sort of fell off the world.
What did she do? What did she like create a clothing line or?
Do tell.
I don't actually remember.
I don't mean
the
to
details.
stereotype her
She's
like
got
that.
she created a little business empire. She's
Well,
got.
good for
I think she's
Jamie.
got a production company. She does a lot of movies and stuff still.
All right.
I mean, not acting.
Go,
but like
Jamie.
producing, yeah. You can look it up. That's
awesome.
what Google.
But
for.
I really
I don't have to know
enjoy-
everything.
You feel like you do.
All right.
Anyway,
You had something.
I was just going to say that I love The Lost Boys because it was a fresh take on the vampire genre,
Definitely.
and we've had subsequent vampire genre takes like Interview with a Vampire, Anne Rice, and all this other stuff. But what I loved about The Lost Boys was it appealed to our generation because before The Lost Boys, we were like, ooh, vampires bad. And then with The Lost Boys, we were like, I could see me doing that.
Yeah.
I could see me like.
Also, it had both the Coreys in it.
That's right.
It did.
Corey squared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I got to tell you guys.
I love that
I
movie.
love the Haim and I love the Feldman.
One of them's dead now.
Yeah, Haim.
Haim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
The
It's
best,
a shame, Haim.
The best line in the movie is at the very end.
Okay.
One thing I can't stand living about in San, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
All the damn vampires.
Yeah.
But you got to say all the damn vampires.
Yeah.
And don't touch my nuttabutters. my
Now the
favorite-
TV guide arrives every week, and you're gonna find the label peeled just a little. Don't peel it off.
Oh my gosh,
such a good
that
movie.
and my favorite line of the whole movie, "Death by stereo."
Yeah. That was the other thing I loved about that movie was they absolutely played into all of the vampire tropes, but in a completely fresh way.
Yeah.
Like they filled the tub with holy water and garlic.
Yes,
And that's how they killed a vampire.
Yeah. Turns into the tomato soup.
he does. All right, I got a question, boys. All right, because of everything we've discussed so far, I feel like I'm just kind of on the ride with the killer a lot of the times when I'm watching these.
Okay.
I say that because it's like I'm rooting for the bad guy. I'm like, kill.
Well, we already know how you feel about Michael Myers.
Right. But along those lines, very little shows or movies actually scare me. have there been any movies that truly did scare you? Like you considered turning it off because it was so scary?
I mean, when I was a kid, yes, but not anymore.
Yeah, I'm too jaded at 58 to be terrified enough to turn something off. However, I will say, there have been films that genuinely terrified me. Chainsaw Massacre being one of them.
Yeah.
Like straight
Especially
up.
when you're 8.
Well, and grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, we kind of knew people like that. Like we all had that weird uncle.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, you did, Micah. You just weren't paying attention.
No.
There were definitely films that scared me and terrified me. Nothing that would ever. The only, in fact, we've had this conversation. The only movie I've ever walked out on was Battle Beyond the Stars.
Which we were looking that up before the show and looking at all the star power that was in that movie.
There were so many well-known actors in that film, and I just have to believe that they were paid in cocaine and hookers because why would they read that script and go, this is the next Star Wars, man?
Art direction by James Cameron.
James Cameron.
Yeah, and Richard Thomas was the guy we were talking about, the John Boy guy.
John Boy.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a scary one. It has been a really long time since I had something actually put me through the ringer. And that was not an allusion to The Ring. It was actually a movie called The Woman in Black.
Okay.
This is a movie that...
Wasn't that
yes,
Daniel Radcliffe?
Daniel Radcliffe did it afterwards.
Yep.
And I remember I wanted to see it, and my wife was tired. She decided to go to bed. I'm in the living room. Kids are asleep. Wife's gone. And I'm just sitting here watching this, and I am effing terrified.
Can you tell me like the premise of the film? Because I've never seen it.
It's ghost related.
Okay.
But the way that they filmed it, down halls, the anticipation of something about to attack you kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really gripped onto my nerve to the point where I am grabbing the sofa and I'm gripping, right? And I'm like really, shaking, and I'm staring straight at the screen. Valerie comes out and she's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "I'm good." And she's like, if you're having a problem, you can always turn that off. I'm like, I'm good.
Well, that actually reminds me in the 90s, during the independent film craze, there was one made on a very low budget that had a huge impact on that genre called the Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
That kicked off a whole genre.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I almost thought it was real.
I mean, that was the idea, right?
The marketing was genius. The way they marketed that movie, you didn't know it was a fake movie.
It looked like a documentary. It
That's
looked like
right. They
found
marketed it as a
footage and whatever.
documentary.
So there's do you guys know the author Max Brooks?
Oh, yeah.
So Max Brooks did a follow-up. It wasn't a follow-up, but it was the book he did after World War Z, which was a brilliant book and a shitty movie, by the way.
Yeah, I can't believe the way they did the movie.
Called Devolution.
Okay.
And now I listened to it on audiobook, and it was brilliantly done on audiobook with a full cast. But basically, it is pieced together interviews, and mostly from the journal of this woman who, with her husband, had moved up to this little remote community in the Pacific Northwest that's all like green. So like solar power and electric and this and that. And they're basically completely cut off from the rest of the world. Well, then what happens is the volcano there erupts and they're cut off. And what happens is they come under siege from a family of Sasquatches.
Oh,
okay.
That sounds fun.
And it's her whole diary of being this LA, Starbucks drinking girl.
What's it called?
It's called Devolution.
And it's a movie or just
No, it's a book.
I'm going to read that.
It's been in development hell for a long time as a movie,
Yeah.
and it may still get made, but I actually strongly recommend that you
love
either
that kind of
read the
stuff.
book
Yep.
or listen to the audiobook because it was absolutely brilliant. And it's that whole, and Max, again, as he did in World War Z, is the reporter who is documenting all of this stuff and saying, I don't know if it's real, but by the end of it, you're like, it was totally real.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We need to take a break real quick.
Yeah.
Let's let Micah, he's almost out of his second third, and we're not even quite there yet.
Go, Micah.
Look at
Sorry,
that.
guys.
So let's get Micah's notes on the second third because he's almost into the final. And you and I are just entering our
Absolutely
second third.
no pepper, It is a perfect blend of espresso, leather. All of my dried fruit has gone away.
I'm getting the leather now. I must be nearing where you were.
Leather's
where
getting
you
stronger.
were, past tense.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Is I'll start talking like, this is so great.
I do have another one if you want to start over.
You know
know what?
I might.
He could start over now and still probably beat us.
Yeah. Wow.
Mike is what we call a triple puffer.
Well, I'm a double pumper, but whatever.
Whatever.
So I actually didn't answer. I think there was a question earlier about your favorite type of horror movie. I don't think I gave an answer to. And I would say when I was younger, it was definitely slasher. But as I get older, I love the psychological ones because I want something that challenges me, something I can try to figure out. I want it to be a puzzle that I have to try to figure out.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of a movie? Yeah.
There's a movie that just came out. It's on HBO Max. I'm sorry, Max. It is called Trap, and it is by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh yeah, I've
and
seen the
starring Josh
trailer.
Hartnett.
Yeah,
and it is amazing. It's so good.
Oh,
I mean,
in.
because M. Night Shyamalan came out, Sixth Sense and all that, and then he had this run where the movie was like,
Yeah.
This one brings him back.
really.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
agree with you about M. Night because when The Sixth Sense came out, it took all the twist at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Caught everybody by surprise. The problem with that is that now that's what everybody was looking
Yeah,
for.
he set the bar too high.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But so now it's like he couldn't do that anymore, and a lot of people wrote him off as a one-trick pony. But you're saying this is his comeback.
It's
And by the way, I love Josh Hartnett.
psychological.
I love
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett because Black Hawk Down, which is not a
Yeah.
horror movie, but as a guy who served in the military, is probably the most accurate representation of a fight that actually took place from the modern military
Yeah.
that I've ever seen. And I loved his character and I loved what he did. So I can't wait to see it.
It's
He
so
was
good.
also in Sin City.
Yep.
He was also in H2O. Halloween H2O. He played Laurie Strode's son.
See, I never saw.
Yeah.
So is that your favorite franchise, Halloween?
My favorite franchise,
So
Halloween.
I
and I love them all.
loved Halloween 1 and 2.
Halloween
3,
6 especially is
3
my,
Season of the
one of
Witch.
my all-time
I was like,
favorites.
it's getting a little weird.
Well,
It's
Halloween
getting kinda
3 is the
stupid.
weird one, right?
Halloween 3.
Season of the Witch.
Yeah, Season of the Witch is on purpose
The
because
melting pumpkin head thing.
the whole plan for Mustafa Akkad, what he wanted to do was he wanted to create Halloween, and he was going to start with the boogeyman.
And he was going to do different genres,
And
right?
exactly,
Like
he
was-
vampires
That's
and werewolves.
right. He was going to
and-
do different movie monsters
Right.
all the way through. Well, what happened is that Halloween
Wait.
was so successful.
What had happened was.
What happened?
what had happened was.
Here's the happy haps. The happy haps was that Halloween 1 was so successful that they decided to make Halloween 2 because money. But then after they finished 2, they were like, you know what, we need to get back to our formula. And they decided to do Halloween 3, which was all witches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, of course, as you know, tanked like no tomorrow.
Now,
and they're like, you know what? Michael made money. Let's go back to Michael.
As someone who loves the Halloween franchise, I do have to ask you, what do you feel about the Rob Zombie Halloweens?
Okay. I have thoughts on this.
I know you do. That's why I asked.
So the first Halloween Rob Zombie movie is genius. And the reason why is because you deep dive into Michael's psyche.
Okay.
You get to understand why he feels and thinks the way he does in all of that silence.
Mm-hmm.
And his time, like a good portion of the movie takes place in the insane asylum. And you get to see his tormentors and his masks.
So there's a scene that I've seen, and I don't know if it's from that movie, but I'm going to ask you: was there a scene in that film where there's like reporters or something that are allowed to try to question him, and they're outside?
No. That was the very first Halloween that just came out recently, and it's not a remake. It's actually the way that the timeline, and that's why I was talking about the Halloween multiverse.
Oh,
is
there we go.
because
Multiverse.
Yeah, because you can watch Halloween in certain ways. You can watch Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, or you can watch Halloween 1, 2, H2O, and then Resurrection, or you can watch Halloween 1 and then the brand new 3 that just came out, Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. And those are the different timeline ones that you put together.
That is complicated.
That's too much work.
That is too much work.
It's a love fest for me. I love it.
Yep.
So
Man, oh,
back
man.
to Rob Zombie. So then the way that Rob Zombie put these kills together, or whoever wrote it, whatever, you get this full idea of his psyche and the reason why Michael Myers is the way he is, and then you get to see him exact retribution. And that's what's important. Halloween 2 goes completely... Halloween 2 Rob Zombie goes completely off the effing rails. It goes down to devil worshipping and all kinds of just really weird stuff that I was just like... And it has nothing to do with my thoughts on that stuff. It just has to do with like... I don't really feel like this is necessary. It's just getting in a... It's going weird.
So within the genre, favorite vampire movie, boys? Yeah.
Interview. I'm an Anne Rice fan.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't really consider them horror so much, even though I guess maybe some would. But as vampires go, Anne Rice is.
Okay.
I'm on the Anne Rice bus.
The one that jumps in my mind immediately is John Carpenter's Vampires.
Really? Okay, you never read the book by John Stakely, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was another one. So Vampires is the one with
James Woods.
So what's the one?
And one of the Baldwin brothers, the fat one.
Yeah. And then there was the other one where it's the family that goes to the bar in Mexico in their camper.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so fantastic.
That's the one I'm actually thinking.
That was a road trip film. Yeah.
George
Clooney and Quentin Tarantino.
Cheech Marin.
Harvey Keitel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cheech Marin.
Cheech Marin.
Yeah.
Oh, and Selma Hayek.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. We all remember that one.
Yeah.
She's delicious.
I would have to say that other than Lost Boys, and I just recently rewatched this film, and I think it was 1979, the original Salem's Lot.
I never saw that.
Oh, man. David Soul from Starsky and Hutch.
All right.
Black bean
David
soup.
Soul. It was originally, I think it was a miniseries on ABC.
Yes, it was.
But it was James Mason plays the familiar. To me it was like legitimately scary and terrifying.
Yeah.
So that one definitely. And then I think Max. Notice how I didn't say HBO Max, but Max did a remake of Salem's Lot. Now I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it.
I keep seeing the ads on there.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But I'm hesitant for remakes. You know how I feel about remakes.
Was that a book first?
Oh yeah, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Right, Stephen. Sorry.
Yeah, Salem's Lot, Jerusalem's Lot.
Okay.
Was the town, but that probably was like the big one for me was Salem's Lot, and then right after that, The Lost Boys. But the vampire genre, it's been here. You guys are. here's a campy one, Fright Night.
Oh yeah.
You guys remember the original Fright Night?
I was actually watching that the other day.
The original or the remake?
No, the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a corny one. What was that one? Oh, Once Bitten.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Now I got to tell you, when I was
Jim Carrey, right?
Yes, Jim Carrey. When I was a kid.
No, not the original Once Bitten. There was an original Once Bitten. It wasn't Jim Carrey.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Once Bitten was it?
That's it.
I'm gonna.
I think
have
you're
you
thinking
look that up.
of was it Love Bites?
Love Bites
With George Hamilton?
Yes. Love Bites. Love Bites.
Oh,
It had a great
the best line
soundtrack.
ever. The best line ever in the whole movie. Oh my gosh, children of the night, shut up.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Without me, this place will be as interesting as Bucharest on a Monday night.
So good. Now, Once Bitten, I just have to say for the record, this was one of those movies. For the record.
The record.
Yo.
For the record.
From Jersey. We're going to talk about
for
the record.
Let me tell you about what I like. You want to know what pisses me off?
I don't.
I'm going to tell you.
Vampire movies.
You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it, but you're going to hear it. Anyway, Once Bitten, when I was a kid, I remember loving that movie. I watched it as many times as it was available to me. And then as an adult, when Amazon Prime came up and I was able to purchase all my digital ones, I went and I found it. And I'm like, buy. And so I got it. And I'm watching it. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen ever.
So I want to go back to vampires.
Okay.
Because I originally read the book. So there was a Dallas-based author named John Stakely. The first thing I ever read from him was a book called Armor. And it was very Robert Heinlein. It was very aliens versus bugs kind of thing. It was a great, great read. And then I found this book that he wrote called Vampires, Inc. Now, and the movie doesn't go into this at all, but basically the story around the novel was that there was a group of vampire hunters that had been sanctioned by the Holy Roman Catholic Church to hunt down and kill vampires. Now, the opening scene in the novel is one of the most compelling scenes in sci-fi that I've ever read. It takes place in the Pope's private dining room. Crow, the protagonist, is in there, and he's been drinking the Pope's wine for hours, waiting for the Pope to show up. The Pope shows up in his whites.
I was wondering
now
if that was
Crow's
an analogy for something.
Crow's entire vampire hunter team has just been wiped out, and there's this whole dialogue between the Pope and Crow, and he's drunk and he's screaming and he's crying and he's raging at the Pope for all of this stuff, and at the end of it, he accidentally spills some red wine on the Pope's whites. So think of the symbolism there.
Yeah.
And this super tough dude who kills vampires for a living just breaks down, starts crying. And in this entire scene in the book, the Pope never speaks. He just cradles Crow in his arms and just holds on to him. And I thought, oh my God. And then the rest of the novel is like that. They have to go through and it takes place in Texas. In Crawford, Texas, I think.
Crawford.
Yeah.
All right.
So they have to go kill a vampire
Crawford
nest
on
in
the
Crawford, Texas.
And
it's
makes sense. That's where George Bush's ranch is.
exactly. So there's all this stuff that takes place, and then at the time I had just read this novel. And I went to one of our so I was working on Wishbone at the time, and I went to one of our executive producers because Big Feats Entertainment at that time was already looking to expand beyond Wishbone.
Oh, yeah?
And I went to, her name was Lynn Kavanagh, and I said, Lynn, you got to read this book. Well, she read it in one night. Oh. And she was like, Larry, I'm going to try to option this.
Oh.
We're going to try to option this. And she came back to me like 3 days later, and she said, John Carpenter already got the rights. And I just went,
oh, no.
Oh, no.
Well, two things. One thing you have to remember, one thing you need to know. First of all, remember how much I love bad movies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I love James Woods in bad movies.
I love James Wood.
Yeah, and it was a bad movie. It was nothing like, it was almost like, I mean, you guys know about my love for Heinlein, and Starship Troopers is one of my favorite sci-fi novels of all time.
That's a great book.
And then Paul Verhoeven read that book and went, bugs, it's about bugs. Let's make a movie about bugs.
Yeah.
And it was just
Would you
awful.
like to know more?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Before we leave the subject or theme of vampires hunting vampires, I got to throw some freaking Marvel in.
What
this.
do you mean vampires hunting vampires?
No,
James Wood wasn't a vampire.
Wasn't he though? No, he wasn't. I can't sell that.
Your subject before was vampires hunting vampires.
Blade.
Yeah.
Blade.
The best one of all time.
Blade.
Oh
my gosh.
The Daywalker.
Oh my God. How do we feel about Blade? I got to admit, I mean, I didn't even know it was a Marvel thing the first time that I saw Blade.
Yeah. Blade kicked off. If it wasn't for Blade, we would not have an MCU.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
don't think so.
No, because that movie proved that there was a fan base out there wanting that type of stuff.
Yep.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Interesting.
He was a superhero who was half man, half vampire,
Yep.
whose mentor and father figure was Chris Christophers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. The guy that smokes and fills a gas tank at the same
Yes!
time. Oh
Yes!
my gosh,
I love him.
He's got his
And then-
cigarette right by the
and then-
sloshing gasoline and I'm like,
yes!
yes, blow off.
And then in Blade 2, we had a very young Norman Reedus
Yep.
playing a character who would
Yep.
go on to be Daryl in The Walking Dead.
He was a familiar.
Everything
Oh,
was so
yeah.
great. And now, of course,
Blade 3, didn't that have Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
and Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel. So, question.
Yes, sir.
Favorite, and there are many, but in my opinion, like one definitive. Who is your favorite Scream Queen?
I think we're all going to say the same.
We're all
thing.
going to say the same
Should we
name.
just say it at the same time?
Yes, ready? 1, 2, 3. Jamie Lee Curtis. There's no question. You know what? Jamie, I think I'm friends with you on Instagram, or I follow you. We're not friends. I follow you. We're not friends.
We're totally friends.
Yeah, in his
But-
world, you're best friends.
We're so tight.
we
We're
have
so
dinner
tight.
weekly.
But I'm definitely going to at you when we post this episode, and I really hope that you will understand that for all three of us,
Yep.
you're the only Scream Queen.
You're the best, Jamie.
You're the only one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no question about that in my mind.
Yep.
By the way, I don't even can you even think of any other Scream Queens?
Well, there were a lot. I said that on purpose.
Yeah, but
just in case you guys had something loaded.
But were there?
You know what? There are no other Scream Queens.
That's right.
Jamie, you're the only one.
You're the only one. Oh, I got another John Carpenter horror movie. There were so many. The Fog.
Oh.
And Jamie Lee Curtis was in that one too.
So
she was not. Adrienne Barbeau was in that.
I am sorry.
So
I thought that she was...
again, that falls into
Really?
the psychological. For me, although there were that monster stuff, but for most of the movie, it's psychological.
Yeah, it's all implied, right?
Yeah, it's all implied.
Yeah.
And
Those were always the scarier movies for
Yeah.
me. The ones where my imagination filled in the rest, those were always like...
Well, it's because,
Wait a minute. She was in it. She was in it.
Yeah.
She was like a hitchhiker or something got picked up or whatever.
I know, she was Elizabeth Soley, and she's like, yeah.
Yeah, she was in it. You're absolutely right. I was wrong. See?
I was wrong too, Mike.
See how that
I
is?
didn't believe you.
We can do that. But I thought... I was thinking main character.
I saw her.
And it was Adrienne Barbeau.
She's on the poster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
She's up against the wall with the fog, doing its thing.
Well.
And they remade that movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Because, I don't know. It just seems like they're... Like everything's been done, I guess. I don't know. It's just like all they can do now is remake movies.
Well, I think so let's talk about a franchise that was in the horror genre that's sort of redefined, and I'm going to say the Saw series.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that I agree with you. That takes a little bit out of the slasher. A lot out of the psychological.
Yeah, because they have to slash themselves.
They have to do it to themselves.
Yeah. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
So I've only seen the very first
I consider
Saw
myself pretty pain tolerant. Like I have a high pain threshold, but I wouldn't stick my arm in a machine saw.
I only saw the first one, but I understand that there's like 10.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah.
I thought I saw a poster for like Saw X. I was like, so
yes,
there's 10 of them?
It was almost like when they did like the Fast and the Furious franchise, when they did Fast X, meaning 10, but there's 12 of them. Like, come on, seriously. So I do think like the later ones, it got a little, repetitive, obviously, but that is what horror franchises do. It makes money. We know, like from a business standpoint, we can spend this much amount of money. We're going to make at least this much amount of money. So that's worth it, right? From a business standpoint. But I did think that the original Saw was definitely a different way of doing the horror genre. Because what are you doing there, buddy? Are you going for your pick?
I'm going pick.
Nice. That's how much he enjoys that
Draw
cigar.
enhance.
So you're clearly in the final third, Micah. So tell us your thoughts.
And we can do second, third.
Yes.
Second. I am enjoying the hell out of this. My fingers
literally. Because you're in the hell. Get it?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
You caught that, didn't you? I'm glad you had to clarify that for the room. I am enjoying this so much. It is very rare that we talk about Nicaragua and no pepper.
Yeah.
And I'm seriously right here at the end. And you know what? I'm jumping on that bus too.
Thank you, sir.
Here you go. Any other horror movies you guys want to talk about, like good, bad, and different?
Yeah,
like,
actually.
Okay.
So I only saw the first one. I think that there's more.
Saw?
But no, it was actually when this is what I consider to be the moment when psychological horror, thriller, whatever, really started to hit hard.
Oh.
Was The Ring.
I've never seen it.
I saw the first one.
I haven't seen it.
And it is one of those ones that just really grabs you. The suspense is just is palpable.
This was based on a Japanese film, right?
I don't know, but you might be right.
I kind of think that it was.
I don't know. I never saw it.
I haven't seen it either.
I just know there's a girl that crawls out of the TV.
There are so many. Why does the TV figure so prominently in horror movies? Like, go back to Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
Oh my God.
I had to tell you guys, and I love my wife, but I have to tease her relentlessly for over 20 years now, is that she absolutely hates Poltergeist. She can't watch it. It is so terrifying to her. And it was on sale for $4.99 on Amazon Prime. I bought it. And I was like, hey, do you want to watch Poltergeist? And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I'm about to press play. She's like, could we watch Austin Powers? She didn't say that.
That's a different horror genre.
It's a different horror genre.
Oh, hang on. I got another one for you guys. Do you remember? I'm gonna say a name and then you tell me the movie. Clive Barker.
Oh, dadgummit.
Hellraiser?
Yes.
Hellraiser. Thank you.
Hellraiser.
So I just watched Hellraiser recently, the first one. Mm-hmm. And I had thought to myself that I had never seen it. So I'm like, I need to actually watch this. And this falls in the category of the films that we were talking about earlier of gross.
Gross and demonic. Yeah.
I mean, but that's what's interesting.
I mean,
right?
it's in the name.
We could say you're not wrong,
yeah.
But you could say that. But they had a name for their little demon cult, like Selenites or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is something that they conjure, and I don't know.
Well, Larry, we need to take a quick break and do our second third because we're almost in the third now.
Yeah, I'm getting much more leather right now, which I am enjoying immensely. Because did I mention that I have a pair of Tecovas boots now? I'm in the club. I mean, both of my sons got their first pair of Tecovas boots before I got mine. So I feel wonderful about this. Yep. So a lot more leather.
Try the retrohell on it now. There's like nothing there. It's so crazy.
Huh.
Nothing but flavor.
Well, but I mean, it's a Nicaraguan cigar, so I'm used to getting like some serious pepper.
Especially now, that should be super peppery.
At any point, but no.
Yeah. It's so smooth overall. It's crazy.
Very smooth. Yeah. I would 100% smoke this again.
Oh, I would too. And what's the name of this one again?
It's the 601 Blue Maduro.
From Esteban Carrera?
No.
Or E.P. Carrillo?
No, Espinosa.
What other ones do they have?
So many E's.
They have the 601 Green Oscuro.
The green one. That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got a Connecticut.
Espinosa is a big line. They have a lot of different blends.
Yeah, well, and 601 is one of their like sublines, and there's a lot of different ones. Yeah.
Well, I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Oh, me too. This
Micah
is fantastic.
decided not to burn his fingers tonight.
No, I'm going to smoke this bad boy to the nub.
Well done, you. So what else? What other horror movies, good, bad, and different, can you come up with right now that you would like to talk about? Because there are literally so many of them.
Well, I don't remember specific ones, but I remember in the 90s. To me, the 90s is when a lot of the horror movies just started to go bad, because then they started relying too much like on CGI and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, the technology was coming out, and so they started building their movies around the fact that they could do these special effects rather than any kind of substance.
Agreed. Also, I would say that there were some movies, some horror movies in the 90s that sort of, again, it was a twist on the theme, right? So Scream, the original Scream.
Yeah.
I thought was a great one because Scream spend their whole time talking about all the tropes.
Yeah.
And then those tropes come and
Scream
happen.
was like an homage to the horror genre.
Yeah. I want to go back to M. Night Shyamalan for a moment. You guys said that it's like he hits a home run with Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense.
And then he comes back much later. I want to revisit something that I don't know if people would actually consider horror, but it had its moments once James McAvoy came in for the second and third ones.
Split.
Yes. So it's actually a trilogy. So the first one is
Unbreakable
with Bruce Willis
and Samuel Jackson.
And Sam Jackson.
Right. Yep.
And then after that we've got Split, and then we've got Glass.
Yeah.
And James McAvoy brings a real horror factor, because it almost seemed like he was going that Shyamalan was trying to do a superhero theme, but then it turned into horror once McAvoy came in with his split personality thing, and really brought a sense of horror.
Which he did brilliantly. By the way.
23 different personalities?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, which, by the way, reminds me of the original Sybil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, what?
Sally Fields,
Sybil.
Yeah.
She had several different personalities living in her. And then go back further, Linda Blair, The Exorcist.
Yes, The Exorcist.
That's one we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Max von Sydow.
Oh my gosh! We could work our way down the whole Stephen King series with Cujo and Carrie and Christine.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things we were talking earlier.
I loved Christine.
Me too.
Did you?
Oh my gosh, I loved that movie.
This was the thing where they were talking about like the horror without a ton of blood, guts, and gore and suspense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, between Cujo and Christine,
Cujo was a great film.
the build-up.
Yeah.
The build-up for the moment when the antagonist was going to jump at the screen was just fantastic.
Cujo was one of those films that frightened me because that could happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about before.
Ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah. And how is that mom going to react? And like that is just
Well, I think that's
so
what
enjoyable.
Stephen King was kind of a master of, though, was like taking those ordinary situations.
Man. I will tell you. So the remake of It.
Freaking fantastic. You know what? It was amazing.
So here's what we've learned about Micah. The more he drinks, the more the F-bombs just flow out of his body.
Yeah, everybody who knows
so I
me
think
knows
we
that.
just need to
Hold
be
on.
like, we can bleep them, right? We can bleep them.
I'm gonna bleep them.
Yeah, just bleep them.
I don't wanna cut
think
'em.
it's
I'm gonna
better.
bleep 'em.
I think it's better if we just bleep them than we try to edit around it. Because
Brent, thank you for bleeping me.
Yeah.
you're
Bleep
bleeping
you,
wonderful,
Micah.
dude. So it might be time to wrap this up.
Yeah, my butt's starting to hurt again.
Oh man, I'm really liking this one. Let's talk about more.
I really wish we had thought to bring some lumbar support for our middle-aged
Oh, shit,
backs.
I got
but
pillows out there. I need to
Purple
get the pillows.
Pillow
Oh, my
actually makes a
God.
wonderful back support.
Sponsored by AARP.
I got my card in the mail. Woohoo! All right, you guys. So that's going to be it for our horror movie.
Wait, we didn't do our final third.
Oh, okay.
Didn't we?
Well,
you did.
I think you did.
You did like a long time ago.
Yeah, like literally 20 minutes ago. So
I'm going to
go-
smoke
go-
some
go-
steel
go ahead,
here in a
Brent.
minute.
We're close enough. Let's go ahead.
All right.
How do you have no
Oh.
pepper on this? I'm so
Nope.
close.
Pepper on the retro.
Not for me.
Pepper on the retro.
I'm still not getting it.
Yeah, I'm getting it now.
No, I'm in a
I'm
happy,
getting a
happy
lot
place.
of leather and earth.
Leather, earth,
I'm getting it's kind of dry now
The
for me.
espresso's kind of turned into a mocha latte.
Mm.
Still a little bit of creamy mouthfeel, but now some chocolate in there. Man, that's tasty.
It really is.
This is a special cigar. Everybody,
cigar.
if you get a chance to do this one, do this one. I mean, I do not go this far down a stogie. I don't.
Yeah. Phrasing.
yeah.
Are we still doing that?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Apparently you are.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore, you guys? What the
Archer
hell?
fans, get on the bus.
Get on it. Get on the bus. Well, this has been a very enjoyable episode. Hey, if there's a horror movie that we didn't talk about that you think should have been included in the conversation, hit us up in the comments. This is on video now, so you can hit us up on YouTube. You can go out to nerdherfers.com, drop us a line. You can hit us up on our Instagram page. There are so many ways, you guys, to get in touch with us, and we would absolutely love to hear from you.
Even
Also,
the trolls.
well, especially the trolls, because
love
we're
that
Gen
stuff.
X and we just
Bring
don't
it,
give a
trolls.
shit.
I
We
love
get
trolls.
We
laughs.
just do not care.
I love trolls like I love bad movies.
I do. I love you trolls so much. Pick on Brent some more. That was awesome.
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way.
Love that part. Love that part. Can I tell you, I don't know who left that comment, but that made us laugh really super
gosh.
hard.
You are so cool.
And I'm sure you didn't even mean it that way. Like, you were probably trying to be mean, and it's water
Yeah,
off a
we
duck's
laughed.
back,
You're
baby.
hitting the wrong audience, baby.
Wrong generation entirely. But anyway, we've certainly enjoyed this. We hope you have too. Hey, go out to nerdherfers.com. Hit the subscribe button. Become a part of the community. Get something from the merch store. All of the cigars that we review are available on our website. Go get some for yourself. If you haven't gotten into cigars, now's a really good time to do
it.
so. Do it. Just do it. Thanks again for being part of the program. We've certainly enjoyed entertaining you. I hope you've been entertained. Have you not been entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Thank you, Russell Crowe. Hey, we will catch you on the flip side. There's always more content coming, so stay tuned. This is Micah Donahoe.
Live long and prosper.
And this is Brent Williams.
Keep your shirt on.
And I'm Larry Brantley saying the only problem with living in North Texas is all the damn vampires. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
This has been a production of Nerdherfers, copyright 2024, all rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be used without permission. Please visit nerdherfers.com for more information and full legal disclaimer, you nerd.